Have any of you heard of the Pitesti prison experiment?
No, but I know that we're going to go to prison now, so...
Well,
tell me all about my future existence.
If this is your future existence, let's just say I hope you ate before we left. Warning, this story involves feces. Lots and lots of feces.
You were the one that focused on the feces. You didn't have to focus so much on the feces.
That's all there was.
No, there was plenty of other non-feces related
There was
things.
all feces.
You focused on the feces.
I read like 12 articles, and it was poop upon poop upon poop. I don't know where you had to dig to find non-poop. Okay, you found the corn in the poop. I was stuck with just the poop. We've all seen prison movies and TV shows, from the horrors of the show Oz to the redemption tale of Shawshank. We've been shown the darkness of the American prison system. However, all of that is a fucking cakewalk when compared to the Pitesti prison experiment. Taking place in Romania between 1949 and 1951, the Pitesti experiment was described as, quote, the most terrible act of barbarism in the contemporary world. The goal was to take young dissidents of the new communist regime, mostly members of the ultra-nationalist Iron Guard, and re-educate them. Kaz. To re-educate them.
They're like ultra-nationalists. They probably got to be re-educated in at least some respect, right?
The Pitesti experiment also sounds like a new age jazz band.
And they're really good.
Does,
They're really good. They experiment a little bit, but they keep it to the roots.
Right, exactly.
Heavy
but now they're
in
doing
synth.
jazz.
Like a quintet.
Now, one of the main figures in the experiment was one Eugen Turcanu. Yeah, I'm going to keep it that. Turcanu.
I like it.
A former member of the Iron Guard. And that right there was one of the main tools in the toolbox, turning people against each other. Often, the prisoners would go through re-education only to become torturers themselves. Now, Turcanu started a group called the ODCC, or the Organization of Convinced Communist Detainees, to carry out the re-education of the youth. So basically, he was a prisoner, they got him, they beat him into submission to enough where he's like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do what you did to me, but on a bigger scale to a lot more people. And so, there were several stages of the process. First, the detainees were subject to constant and severe beatings. They were also taken in and forced to watch hours and hours of lectures about communism, about Stalin, to re-educate them. And they were also forced to torture each other in an attempt to discourage past loyalties. Each prisoner was subject to extreme interrogation. They were coerced into exposing every single dark detail of their lives. They called this unmasking. They'd get to the point where they would just start making up past crimes. They would just start making up things just to appease the torturers. Now, the next phase was internal unmasking, where inmates were forced to reveal the names of other detainees who are weak or not following protocol. Like, they were told to beat each other.
Oh.
And if Ryan wasn't beating everyone as hard as he could, you were forced to out Ryan as, hey, Ryan really didn't beat me well today.
Pussy.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and so even if you try to lay back when it comes to torturing your fellow inmates, they'd out you for that.
I bet you can't even beat up your pillow.
Yeah, just a bunch of prisoners beating each other off.
Up.
Oh, up.
Well,
Yeah, you're thinking Oz again. Totally different.
Nice.
I want to go there.
Then came the public moral unmasking through the use of public humiliation. Inmates were forced to denounce all their beliefs, loyalties, and values. Religious men were made to blaspheme the religious texts and symbols. For instance,
Jesus Christ.
on Christmas Day...
That's a hard sell.
Oh.
Like, again, back to Kaz's, like, how can you be in a cult? Like, I'm trying to even get a raise. Like, these guys are made to go against their religion?
Well, I mean, they're in prison. They've been captured by these people.
They're being
and be
tortured.
beaten on a daily basis. On Christmas Day, a Christian prisoner was forced to defecate on a bedpan. Not in it, on it. To symbolize the nativity, while other prisoners were forced to kneel and cross themselves before it, and prison guards would dress up as priests and say sacraments while they were bowing and praying to the turd.
Isn't that like a Cradle of Filth video?
wait a minute.
Basically.
What does that have anything to do with that?
Just saying that your
They're
God is
mocking
shit.
their religion, right?
Your Jesus is shit,
Yeah,
is
but
what they're saying.
Even prison guards would have to do that? Like people who are
No, but
employed,
the
they're
guards
getting
would
paid
dress
hourly?
up as priests and to complete the scene.
So what? Like, I guess it depends upon how much they were into it, right? Like, does your manager show up and go, "Okay, today, put on the priest uniform. You got to pray to the piece of shit." The dude's like, "Dude, I'm here for prison duty. Like, I'm not. I don't."
Last time, Gary, you really were phoning it in. I
Right.
didn't believe you at all.
I'm not buying into the stupid re-education bullshit. Like, I just want to make sure they get, stay in their cells.
What
food.
year was this?
It was between the years 49 and 51.
So only
Good
2
years.
years, but that's
Yeah.
still pretty intense.
And that was the best thing they got to do with poop right there. Okay? Because these torturers were
I'm making
really...
$6 an hour, dude.
These guys were really into poop. They were really into poop. The Christian baptism was mocked as guards chanted
no.
baptismal rites as they dumped buckets of urine and feces on the inmates.
Oh.
Or, if that was ineffective, the inmates would have their heads thrust into the buckets of feces and urine and held there until bubbles appeared.
Misguided Halloween party.
Then they would pull them out, let them get a breath, and shove their head back into the poop bucket. One inmate had this done so often that he developed an automatic reflex that lasted 2 months. Every morning he would awake and go and plunge his own head into a feces bucket, much to the amusement of the re-educators.
He was probably trying to, like, what's it called? Psych yourself up?
Build up a tolerance.
It's right into the bucket.
To his
Just to-
Putting in my
Obviously,
reps, man. Like every day.
rampant pink eye that he was getting.
Yeah, weird rocky
It was more like
montage.
ruby red eye or just crimson eye at that point. So the eyes just basically fall the fuck out of your head at this point.
Vermilion eye.
Nice. Nicely done.
That could be the word of the week. Now, the re-education would also involve working till exhaustion, doing humiliating tasks, such as cleaning an entire floor with a rag clenched between your teeth.
Wow.
But back to the poop. Here's a little excerpt of an inmate describing the particulars of re-education. Quote, "You were made to tug each other's genitals, or one of them would put his penis in your mouth. If you soiled yourself during beatings, you were made to eat your own feces and to lick the dirty long johns, or to eat another's feces from your own mess tin without being allowed to wash it after that."
This is
So specific and like
coprophilia to the tennis.
Totally.
It's very like you get a syllabus when you walk into jail. They like tell you what the rules
Just
are.
has the word poop in it. You just open it up and just
This is
says
the poop-
pages of poop.
poop rules.
Like the torture budget for this prison was about $5.
Yeah.
Look, we
gotta
gotta stretch the poop thing a long way.
We're gonna be super creative with this, boys.
And some guy said, "I got an idea. Are we feeding him?" "Yes." "Poop."
I guess he kind of saved on water, though, since like no one's pooping in a toilet. They're all just eating it. So
That's
it's
true.
just
Makes it a lot
constant.
easier.
Yeah.
To continue the quote, "We were made to kiss each other's bottoms. You were made to urinate in each other's mouths. When you begged for water, you would be given urine from a bucket, or they would urinate directly in your mouth, or others would spit in your mouth. You were made to spit in each other's bottoms and lick it up, then would wipe a stick smeared in feces from the water closet on your mouth or in your mouth. You're also made to stick your finger up your bottom and then suck it." That's how the quote ended. That's how the quote
I did not
ended.
read any of that. Dude, are you sure this is a thing?
You can hear the smile on your face as you read this.
Dude, I found that quote in multiple places.
Holy shit, that
I
is
found it. You were made to stick
insanely-
your finger up your bottom and then suck it.
It's like a kindergartner got sent to this prison.
It was so vivid, yeah.
Holy shit.
Instead of, like taking one word and trying not to repeat it, they heavy-handed that motherfucker hard.
Add to all of this constant and horrible physical torture. Beatings on the head to induce stupefaction. Beatings in the face for disfigurement. Thousands of blows to the back, below the ribs, the plexus, the soles of the feet. The final stage was the total unmasking, where prisoners were made to denounce their entire past life. Their friends, their family, their past leaders were all now criminals and grotesque. This is the point that a successful candidate went from being the tortured to the torturer. In all, the number of people processed ranged from either 1,000 to 5,000 people went through this ridiculous program. They just, of course, they didn't keep really accurate records because it's crimes against humanity. In the end, the ODCC finally face trial for their program. And Turkanu was held responsible for the murder of 30 prisoners and the abuse of 780 others and sentenced to death.
So that's a definite serial killer criteria.
Basically, yeah, but more institutionalized.
Right.
However, the officials that oversaw the prison, because remember, he was just technically an inmate, were given light sentences and later released.
What is that called when you follow blindly orders?
Perfect.
It's
Nuremberg defense.
Nuremberg defense, yep.
The court eventually ruled that the experiment was actually due to the infiltration of Americans and former Iron Guard members to discredit Romanian law enforcement. So it was all fake news, basically. They said that, we didn't do this. The Americans came in and made all this torture just to discredit us.
Right.
So it's just really crazy when you go back in history, and it's always the victors write the story. That's all it is.
Because we're obviously going to come out on the right side of history here.